Hello everyone, and thank you all for joining our video at LINKCOOL. You may have heard the name Mansa appearing from different places, like the name New Mansa, who is a UFC fighter, or the video game Civilization 6. Today's subject will be on a very important individual who in fact has been deemed the world's richest man in history, Musa I, or better known by his famous name, Mansa Musa. Let's get started. In this video, we will cover the following topics about our famous man, which includes: who is Mansa Musa, his rise to power and his wealth, the journey to Mecca, his investment in education, and of course, the end of his reign. So for us to understand who Mansa Musa is, let's first understand the meaning of both his names and its history. His famous name, Mansa Musa, Mansa, meaning Sultan or Emperor in the Mandinka, also known as Mandingo language, and Musa, the Arabic name for Moses, transitions to Sultan/Emperor Moses. Mansa is an Akan name, Akan, which is a meta-ethnicity living primarily in the countries of present-day Ghana and Ivory Coast. His name, Musa Kita being the name of his dynasty, which ruled pre-imperial and imperial Mali from the 11th century into the early 17th century. He was the 9th Mansa of the Mali Empire and was one of the most powerful Islamic West African states at the time. So why was he known by his wealth mainly? He's just a ruler with enormous wealth. It's normal for rulers to have lots of wealth to rule a country. What made him special? Well, in fact, his wealth was so immense, it was considered indescribable. Which brings us to our next topic, his rise to power and his wealth. Mansa Musa was born in 1280 Common Era into a family of rulers. His brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, ruled the empire until 1312. This is because his brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, also known as Abu Bakr II, was obsessed with the Atlantic Ocean and what was beyond it. He embarked on this journey with a fleet of 2,000 ships and thousands of men, women, and slaves, but never returned. Because of this, Mansa Musa came into power and inherited the wealthy kingdom that was left behind. Under the rule of Mansa Musa, the kingdom of Mali grew significantly as Mansa Musa annexed 24 cities, including Timbuktu. Keep this name in mind as we will touch more on it later down the line. The kingdom stretched for roughly 2,000 miles from the Atlantic Ocean all the way down to modern-day Niger, according to sources. The riches of Mansa Musa came from his work expanding trade, which allowed him to access resources, specifically in mining significant amount of salt and gold deposits in the Mali Kingdom. According to the British Museum, the Empire of Mali accounted for almost half of the world's gold, and of course all of it belonged to the ruler. During this era, Mansa Musa pretty much had unlimited access to the one source of wealth which was deemed highly valuable at that time. With this, he could purchase anything he wanted. He could afford to allocate resources to different parts of his cities at will. A true ruler indeed. It's also mentioned that the elephant ivory was another major source of wealth. Now we will move on to the next topic, which started Musa's journey, which was the journey to Mecca. In Islam, there are 5 tasks which a practicing Muslim must do. These are profession of faith, also known as Shahada in Arabic, prayer, also known as Salat, alms, charity, which is known as Zakat, fasting, also known as Sawm, and pilgrimage, which is known as Hajj. Mansa Musa wished to perform the task of pilgrimage to Mecca, as he was a practicing Muslim, and to fulfill the 5th task of Islam. This journey was going to be very challenging and enormous, as he will be traveling a distance of 4,000 miles estimated through the long terrain and Sahara Desert from his empire. In terms of organizing this, it wouldn't be too difficult due to the unlimited wealth he possesses. He organized a large caravan of 60,000 people in total, which was a mixture of servants, soldiers, and supporters. He also had 100 elephants and 80 camels to move resources, carrying his wealth of estimated 21,000 kilograms of gold, and he had a train of goats and sheep for food to keep his caravan well fed. How thoughtful. And so his journey began, a literal city moving as one unit across the desert and lands. Such a sight to see. On his path towards Mecca, he stopped by Cairo and started to generously give gold to anyone he met and other people encountered. Because of this, the price for gold plummeted and caused a wreck in the economy. According to a US-based technology company, smartasset.com, they estimated that the pilgrimage led by Mansa Musa caused a loss of $1.5 billion or £1.1 billion in economic losses around the Middle East. Bittersweet, however, after Mansa Musa's pilgrimage, according to sources, he did in fact pass through Egypt and tried to help the country's economy by removing some of the gold from circulation, by borrowing it back at an extortionate interest rate from the Egyptian lenders. Other sources stated that he spent so much that he ran out of gold, but personally I think this is false, as he would need resources for his caravan to return to his empire. Returning from Mecca, Mansa Musa brought back from his journey several Islamic scholars, according to sources, descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, and an Andalusian poet and architect by the name of Abu Ishaq as-Saheli, who is widely credited with designing the famous Diengoubrebe Mosque. Remember Timbuktu? Well, this is the mosque, and it's still up. Terrific, right? The ruler reportedly paid the poet 200 kilograms in gold, which in today's money would be $8.2 million or 6.3 million pounds. God, I wish I made that amount in today's world. Anyway, Mansa Musa funded literature and built schools, libraries, and mosques in Timbuktu, which soon became center of education, and people traveled from around the world to study at which is now known as the LINKCOOL University. These acts helped put Mali and Mansa Musa on the map, which can be seen on the Catalan Atlas map from 1375. Which now brings us to the end of his journey. After all that Mansa Musa has contributed, building, investing, ruling his empire, it was estimated that in 1337, aged 57, that he passed away, which then the empire was inherited by his sons, who could not hold the empire together. The smaller states broke off, and the empire crumbled. What's important in this story is that these majestic acts of charity, his leadership, and other honorable actions, which included him teaching the principles of his religion and the moral acts he performed, caused him to be remembered through history by what he has accomplished and performed 800 years ago estimated. And to conclude this, I thank you all very much for watching today's video. Feel free to have a look at our other videos in our channel at LINKCOOL or other social media platforms. Have a great day and take care now.